someone human? Is it their body or is it their actions? So we're going to go off of the 2 laws of human essence. So the first one's going to be the ability to show affection and the ability to sympathize and show unconditional love. So with the packets that you just got, there's a list of characters that we cut up into these sections. So list them out with your group of who you think is the most human based on their actions. So this, and then at the top is going to be the most human, at the bottom is going to be the least human. So I'll give you a few minutes to do that.
May I record this group?
Sure.
Okay.
Too many names from my little desk here. Nancy is Kai's droid thing.
Oh! I thought it was spelled with an S.
I think it is. I think that's misspelled. Thank you.
Who should be at the bottom?
The Kai's robot.
Kai's what?
Kai's android.
Oh, Android. Okay.
Do you think, if it's according to this, should Cinder be at the top? Because she shows affection towards, like, Keone, I think that's how you say her name, and then she also shows, like, unconditional love. So.
I think Keone should be at the top because of that. Because Cinder is not as willing to show affection because she's afraid of her robot parts, but Peony freely and all of this.
That makes sense.
And Kai's pretty high too. I would maybe argue that Kai's the highest.
Yeah, I can
Only
see that.
because Peony doesn't get to be in the story as long as he is. But
I think either way, both of them are higher up than Cinder.
what about Adri? Is she about like
Pretty low.
well, obviously, but is she
But not
lower
to
than
Pearl.
Nancy or?
She's not to Pearl and Peony, though. She just doesn't demonstrate that to Cinder and read the story from Cinder's perspective. She would be a very different person if we read it from Pearl's perspective. I think Queen Lavana's pretty low.
Yeah. Well,
Take about another 30 seconds to finalize.
Does she show affection
What?
at all in that?
no, I don't think so.
She killed like every relative she had, so nobody could stop her from being
Not a lot of unconditional love there.
No.
Of any,
Not
any
really.
of the what?
What is this one under?
I'd say that Sybil is also pretty low.
Who is Sybil?
Sybil is the queen's some word I can't say.
Ambassador lady.
Yeah.
Wrap it up. Hopefully you have it mostly figured out. Okay, so this is the list that we came up with. So what I want you to do is tell me how your list differs from this one. So if there's major differences.
We don't have to go into this.
You don't have to go? Oh, that makes sense. That means we don't have to. That's okay. That's okay. Well, I don't know. Okay, other than not having one of the characters, what else do you guys have that's really different? If you have anything that's really different.
We put Nancy, whatever her name is, above Chang, Sasha, Sybil, and Queen Lavana, just because her personality chip over time like evolved, where she was more close with the prince, became more human.
Okay. Anybody else have any major differences? Yeah?
We had, I don't know how to pronounce his name, but like Cinder's like stepfather who put like the chip in there. Yeah, we put him like below the girl in the satellite just because we didn't really know a whole bunch about him. And yeah.
We help base that off of the little short story called Glitches in the back of the book, of the paperback. Which I don't know if anybody had read that. So there was that as well. That we used. Anybody else have any major differences? Because I know it can't be exactly the same. Yeah.
We had like Dr. Erland above like Aiko and the girl from the satellite
Okay.
because he had more character, I think.
More saying, okay.
Yeah, it's like Aiko had personality, but I don't know that he like changed over time much.
Yeah, last one.
We did the same. We put Dr. Erland above Aiko. My reasoning for that was I feel like he was a pretty complicated character, especially as we started to learn that these looters go crazy if they can't manipulate the bioelectricity in others, and just kind of seeing his struggle and what he had to go through to find her, I feel like was very human, and I mean kind of the human struggle to kind of find your way and find your passion and focus.
Good. Yeah. Thank you, guys.
Alright, so we're going to move on to something similar to Emma's. We're going to talk about who's more human in the groups of people that we see in the book. So obviously, humans are going to be the most human. But kind of our main question is, what do you guys think between cyborgs and lunars? Think of characteristics, well, androids too, but they're more robots. But think of characteristics and like what you guys see that makes one more human than the other. Think of specific instances in the books, and you'll get together in groups of 2 or 3, and we want every group to share, so go around, you can just say what you think, and it's not a clear-cut answer, so don't be scared to talk, especially if you don't talk very often. It's very safe space to talk because there's no right or wrong, we just want to hear your thoughts, so just be prepared to say 1 or 2 things about why you guys thought what you did. So I'll give you a couple minutes to do that.
May I record
Yes.
I feel like it's really hard to differentiate between the cyborgs and the lunars. I don't know. I mean, I guess even like in humanity, there's people who don't act human. Just like how there's like the lunars who didn't act, who were like awful, like Queen Lavana, or but the cyborgs, like, I thought it was ridiculous how there was that one guy who was like 3% cyborg, and then he was still picked up on the draft. And so.
I feel like I want to say that the humans were the most human. But at the same time, they're so like nasty to each other sometimes that I almost want to say that the cyborgs are more human, just because like they had the sympathy because like they were in like a lower position, and so they had to like, I don't know, they acted differently and they interacted with other cyborgs and like humans differently. So I don't know.
There's something to say about like suffering and how that draws out humanistic character, not humanistic, but it's like the good in people and those people who have it all given to them. Like they haven't really had suffering in their lives, so they have no empathy as much.
Is Cinder like the only cyborg that we really get to know in the book? I can't think of any others.
As far as we know.
So I feel like it's hard to like make a decision like that. It's like you can't really categorize like all cyborgs or all lunars or all humans. Because they're all so different categories. And also like I guess I feel like being human, it's not only being good, but just more being like real in the sense of like you'll change over time.
Take a couple seconds to kind of wrap up your thoughts.
I would say the androids are probably the least human, just because like when they get programmed, they're supposed to like follow the orders. Like in the wards where people have the disease, they're like, I'm just programmed to follow orders, and so they just have to do it. So.
Okay, we're gonna come back together. And can we just go around? We'll start on this side since we're already discussing. and just give us 1 or 2 reasons why you thought what you did about these groups. We'll just go around in a circle.
Okay, Paige. I guess
We didn't have very good thoughts.
for humans, peony was the most obvious, I think. Even though Cinder is kind of like in all 3 of them, because she's still mostly human, but she's also a cyborg, but she's one of the only cyborgs mentioned. So she'd be like the most human as in cyborgs. Lunars could be Cinder, but I think mostly it's Dr. Erland. And then androids would be Ego.
Yeah. That's good. Rebecca? Were you in there, group? Okay, next group.
I think we didn't quite answer it how you wanted it, but we spent most of the time talking, or I spent most of the time sorry, comparing cyborgs and lunars and how I felt that they were equal, and I was trying to like win that case. But like how they both have an upper hand to humans, as far as like having a gift of some sort, like cyborgs having the option of like, you know, finding out all the data that they might need, or like being super strong with their like mechanical parts, and then lunars having that kind of magical ability to manipulate by electricity. So I don't feel like we were answering quite the question that you asked.
You're post-structuralist.
No, it's good. We wanted to hear ideas between the 2. So.
Anything else you guys want to add? No. Okay, sorry.
No, you're good. Next group?
We looked at all of the different groups and we kind of thought like, what is a human? And I think that a human is having the ability to express your compassion. And I think you can't say like an android is less human than a human, because they might express their compassion better than a human. Like Sybil had no compassion at all, and I think that makes her less human. So that's kind of what we thought.
We were kind of having trouble with definition of what human is. But I guess if that's like showing empathy and emotion. But we kind of, we decided that like the top 3 were the same, I think.
Because in certain ways, like with humans, cyborgs and lunars, like cyborgs are partly human. Lunars are kind of human, but they're like from the moon. And then humans are human. But also like we were talking about how androids, like they also, like especially Ego or Ico, whatever you want to call her, she also shows like compassion towards Cinder, and like, so I don't know, we kind of struggled with who is more human, just because all of them kind of seem to share the same, well, not, some of the characters don't, yeah, they have similar qualities for sure.
That's good.
We talked about how, like similar to what they said about the androids and how they seem to show a lot of compassion, most of them. There were some, like the med droids Haley was talking about, weren't as compassionate as some of them. But then, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Cinder's the only cyborg that we read about. And so we think that she's more human. But then that's kind of a biased perspective of cyborgs, because we're not sure about if the other ones are more human.
So, I mean, humans are the most human, but we also thought that cyborgs were second, because a lot of people were defined as cyborgs, I think, because if they were in an accident and they like lost a limb, then it would be replaced with metal and they would be called a cyborg. I think that's what we read. And then we couldn't decide between, was it lunar and androids? Yeah. Because we just didn't really know much about them, I think. And we didn't really have any experience with androids, so, but we do know that they, I don't know if they have real emotions or,
We kind of went on our own criteria of being human, not the one that you gave us at the beginning, because like on the last one when we had names here,